Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Wildlife Society lecture. Today you're about to be exposed to one of the most formidable creatures in Sri Lankan conservation, and he in turn will talk about some other formidable creatures. Where is he? Hello Rex, we were just talking about you. But before he's formally introduced by the President, let me run through a few other important things that have to be done first. First and foremost, none of this would be possible if not for our sponsors, Nations Trust Bank, who support this whole series of monthly lectures, and in addition to which, they also sponsor the Society's two publications, the Varana, the Sinhala publication of the Society, and its journal, Loris. And as a gesture of appreciation to Nations Trust Bank, the latest edition of Varana is just come out, and the first issue we would like to present to Mr. Teja De Silva from Nations Trust Bank. Mr. Rukshan Jayawardena, our President, will do that right now. In talking about Varana, we also have to thank many university lecturers and professors who have helped edit it. It comes out in Tamil and Sinhala, and they've been of enormous assistance. There have been too many to list out in helping format it and edit it in Sinhala and Tamil. So we're very grateful to them. We also have numerous other sponsors who help us in many ways, and we're very grateful to them. ProImage for their support with the video coverage of these lectures, and the past lectures, if you have missed any, they are available on the Society website. CJ and team at Sarva Advertising for their creative support. Then as always, Dilma Tea, and you will hopefully be enjoying a cuppa after this lecture. And we acknowledge our corporate partners, TJ, Brandix, and John Keel's Office Automation for their support with office equipment. As I said, without their help, we couldn't do all that we are at the moment. We also thank Swarovski for their... They come every lecture and they have a little stall outside showing their binoculars and telescopes and all sorts of very fancy things. So we thank them too. Right, without further ado, let me invite our President, Rukshan Jayawardena, to come and introduce our speaker, Mr. Rex De Silva.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasant duty to introduce this evening's speaker. Rex De Silva is somebody I have known for a great many years, but before I tell you about my association with Rex, let me tell you that there is a lot written about the many things that Rex has done. Amongst these things, the highlights that I can point out are that he's an expert birder. His particular expertise is on waders, as well as pelagics. Pelagics are birds that we don't normally see from the shore. They are either oceanic birds that rest on the water and live most of their lives, most of the year offshore. He's probably the foremost expert on sharks in Sri Lanka, and he has even re-identified and possibly, I think, discovered a new shark in our waters, maybe more. He's also a pioneer scuba diver, and as a scuba diver, he has had the opportunity to dive with many of the great names in diving, pioneer diving in Sri Lanka. Many, if not all of them, today have passed on. So Rex has a wealth of experience and exposure to a time when scuba was a more risky and more pioneering activity. What I actually would like to say that people might not know about him is that he's also a karate exponent, a karate master, and probably a 5th or 6th dan black belt. So here is a true Renaissance man. But just a small note on how I first met him. In the late 70s, I was a schoolboy, and we were taken in a long crocodile. My school was Royal College, to the museum, which was just about a block away. And we assembled in a hall in the upper level, and a very smart, kind of military-looking individual came in. He was wearing full white. We didn't know whether he was a schoolmaster or what he was. And then we were told that he's going to give us a talk on birds. So we thought, oh, well, we thought we were seeing the museum, because seeing the museum would have meant that we could just wander through and break lines and, just behave in the way schoolboys do. But now we were all seated like in a formal classroom, and there was a very strict-looking individual in charge of us. And then our teachers kind of went to the back, and I think some left the hall, and he started talking about birds. Generally, if I remember right, there were garden birds, then forest birds, and on and on. And it was difficult, I think, for people to keep quiet. There were some who were very interested, and I'm not quite sure whether it was the kind of resurrected Wildlife Society of Royal College that was there, or whether it was our classrooms, the grade. But I think I must have been in grade 10 or 11, I can't quite remember. And then I found a very interesting thing. I found that the metal folding chair I was seated on squeaked like a bird. So I thought to myself, oh, I'll give him birds. And so I started gently rocking back and forth. And this kind of made this squeaky noise like a tweeting bird. And a couple of times Rex stopped and looked up and thought, no, I'm not hearing anything. And he continued. And then he figured out, yes, definitely there was a bird that was chirping whenever he was talking. And so he stopped. He twigged onto it finally and said, I don't know who's making that infernal racket, but if they don't stop now, I'm just going to stop this talk. And you don't seem to be really interested in what I'm saying here. So then I thought, I can try this again, but now I might get pinpointed because my neighbors also knew that it was me. And I thought I'll give that a miss. And so that's my first introduction to Rex De Silva, though it may not be his first introduction. So I remember him from a very long time ago when he was rather a young man and I was a kid. And that is my association. So Rex is truly a Renaissance man. He also wanted to know whether to wear a tie today. So I said, if you wear a tie, I will wear a tie. But it's up to you. He said that I'm not too keen on ties. So I said, that's fine. Neither am I. So if Rex is not adequately dressed to meet your expectations of a erudite, knowledgeable person, and I'm responsible. So I think I have said enough. This is not about me. This is about Rex and what Rex has to offer us. May I please invite Rex to come up to the podium.